position. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'm just in the process of evaluating all these things that happened to myself and also everybody here. I'm thinking that we are, together in different states of mind and so on. And we had to come together to create what Luther Burbank had said, and he relating to talking to plants and animals and everything that that this avatar was talking about and brought it from India. So if you connect these worlds together and so on, we begin to see that each one of us have been protected and so on. And I wanted to make sure that I could say this, in a proper form, which would be a compliment to everybody here. So here we are 30 years or 31 years and years later after I had met this mentor who I traveled around the country because he asked me to, crazy as I was, and I just gave up everything I had, a construction business and so on. And I go, okay, there has to be more to this than I know. And and so in this field, began to wonder why would he name this guy Luther Burbank? He was a very spiritual and psychic man who basically loved everybody. And so it was amazing when I heard that Edison and Ford had met him in the year 1940 or 1920. And that story resonated to me because he was the one left out of the whole thing in terms of money or prestige or whatever, even though he was called at one time the most powerful person in the world of psychic ability and so on. And you know what they did with psychics back then, they burned them to stakes and all these kind of things. But he was not, he was fearless. And he was friends with these two people who were Edison and Ford, who were the ones who created the pollution of this earth. So there was a trinity that was happening, and it continued to happen, throughout time. But it was also released, and it was abused, and so on. And so that's that. I'm still on that area where I had to respect that person. And as I studied that, and as I studied the the movement of these volcanoes that worked from south to north along the Ring of Fire or the coastal mountains, we started to understand that there was a feeding of these nutrients and so on that went into the Central Valley, and that Central Valley was called, at least it was called, a comparison to the Tigris and Euphrates of the West. So to understand this, in a logical mind, but also a spiritual mind, we could look to see what these volcanoes were all about and why we're mentioning this and why we have to re-mention it, even though we all know it in our souls that it's true. So this is only one part of the research that we've been doing since that time. So I'm saying that we're connecting North and South Pole together by studying this oldest lake in the Northern Hemisphere and also affecting the oldest lake in the Southern Hemisphere on the American side. What my goal is to bring it all over the world, because this was just one of the ages. This was the Pacific Age. There was also the Atlantic Age, and there was also, I want to read some of this. There was also the Jurassic Age, and there was also the Cambrian Age, and so on. You're looking at 100,000 million years, 100 million years ago, for this beginning of this age, or the the Ring of Fire. And then you're looking at the Atlantics, we're or maybe 2 or 3 million years old, and then you're looking at all of these other ages which grew from within. This whole earth was pushed from within, just like we are, from within to come out, and that's why the continents fit together. But this isn't enough to convince the intelligent people in the world. And we are just people who want to make peace with other people. And this is the most important issue that we've learned, in this very small part of time that we were together. And so we learned to forgive. And there's a lot to forgive because there's been a lot of harm for a long time. And so I just want to tell you how much I appreciate, as far as Clearwater Vision, for all those years, there were many people, over 100 people that joined Clearwater Vision because they liked the idea of putting spiritual in front of physical. They enjoyed that and so on. And if we were able to do that, we'd be able to literally bring in those alternatives to grow into the age of Aquarius. And this is what we're living in. And as I talked to Adrian today, this was a perfect time for us to understand how these planets fit together and why they do fit together and why we're going through a wonderful, hard time with each other. It is such a powerful force, and we're able to go forward no matter what. And I appreciate you being here. And I'm only part of this, I'm only part of this, and I'm a worry of some of the things. I guess I get tired of this, and I think that I'm just growing into my old age, and for some reason, in some way, I might be a genius, but in other ways, I'm just fighting a war with 007, all the time, because I know other people don't understand this, and I still have to have compassion for them. I have no choice but to have compassion for those people because I was told by an avatar, you know, and I'm not bragging about it. I don't even want to say it, but I do know that we're here for those reasons. And we have all the protection in the world right now, and we're able to go through this, and we're being fearless. So thank you.
Ross, can you help us understand how you got to the understanding? Was it Yogananda that had this understanding that masters had been there 10,000 years ago, or to this area in Southern California?
Yeah.
How did he come to that understanding or that knowledge?
Well, he was asked by Sri Teswar, his mentor, to go to America and find a place where people would be able to use this consciousness, this the American consciousness, because he knew that there was a strong desire for America to become one with other worlds and other countries and so on, and also to study the Native Americans there, who were actually Indians, they call them. But the thing was, they had a point in their lives that they had to address, the purpose of America, which was very important to other people in the rest of the world because they had a Declaration of Independence. That might not mean enough for other people because of what they're dealing with today, because they didn't follow that Declaration of Independence, but they are now very important for building block to helping the rest of the world. And that's why, reaching out to other people, especially on the other side of this continental divide, is united together with the North and South Pole. Now, what we did what's terrible things. What basically we built all this energy because we took advantage of the Declaration of Independence and so on. So I'm only saying that we have a chance and an opportunity to bring this masculine and feminine at an equal stage. That's why we're here. So, uh,
When
Yogananda,
you said reach out to the other side, I was imagining these, I kind of had the picture of reaching out to be in contact or be open to the influence of these masters. There's lots of fakers out there, right? But what Ross is talking about is these masters that, from my understanding, just to clarify, have gone through Earth evolution and no longer need a physical body. And this is exactly what we're learning to do, and to activate our light body to transform to what Yeshua showed us was possible and more. So it's really important, I feel like, to for us to understand, just to be open to these personalities. Like Yogananda would be an example. And what I found in working with these masters, so we've been really blocked from their influence of like literally feeling like a team of support. We haven't been able from the technological frequency fence, and so it's really powerful to be open to these. And the reason how you know that you're talking to a master or communicating and connecting with a master compared to what would be a lot of faults. You have to be really careful with what we don't want to, every voice should come through our higher self. But these masters you can trust because you can see the personality of who they were. So this is so powerful because in this Eastern tradition, it's all about getting rid of the ego, and the I, the false I, the lower personality. But what I found when I worked with my master Muji, who's also worked with these other masters, that I question, how do we completely get rid of this id or this ego, this identity, and still play our role that we're here to play? And that's so beautiful that you bring this up, Russ. And I just want to clarify that for us to be open to these influences of that Russ is actually working with these masters. The power in being able to trust the message that's coming through or the connection is through the personality of who they were when they lived on the earth. And that's where Yogananda, like, I can feel the energy of that as you talk about it more, Russ, working with us and communicating with us and his whole team. And so I just wanted to bring that forward, because what I found, because I was directly contacted by like a guru of my guru Muji, and it was this very clear message that we can trust and work with these masters because they've gone through exactly what we've gone through. And of course, there's many masters and many religions and many, we could go through all the archetypes, but because we can understand their personality, that then we know the message is coming through clearly. And for me, it was Papaji. And Papaji just came right into the room as a Ganesha and shapeshifted. And he said to me, he pointed to me in the corner, he said, "Get up, you have to do it. It's up to you." And in that moment, I understood the power of these personalities, that I could trust his voice because I could see his face and know that it was coming directly through a being who had gone through all of this evolution and then didn't need a body anymore. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that forward on this, because what I'm finding in the work is that we've been completely disconnected from this level of guidance, and those veils are now opening again. And so they're connected to the work we're doing, so we can just kind of explore that.
yeah, thank you. I really believe in, this whole thing has to come together because it's time for this. And of course, and I'm also game for the fact that we could live a whole lot longer than we do because of what we've done and so on. And I think these are things that during the time we'll be able to do that. And, I don't know if there's ever an end to physical life because we have such love for our ancestors and our descendants. And I think this is what we had to learn, that it's more do re we instead of do re mi. And so we're actually doing our health situation not just on the individual level, but on the holistic level. And that's why we're learning things like Brown's gas, or we're learning things that we need to create on a an equality between masculine and feminine. And because we've lived in a masculine world for so long, that we developed a lot of fear and a lot of danger and so on, and we didn't understand how important the family structure really is.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we have to
Um,
together, it is important.
Thank you, Ross, and thank you, Adrian. If I may, um, share my thoughts. Um, it's the earth has a cycle, you know, and every hundreds of years the energy changes. And I always say to my ancestors, thank you so much for going through all the difficult times. I mean, we can never really understand what a difficult time they had gone through. And because of them, I am here. They gave me the chain of the life, and I am giving part of my life to my grandson who was born the end of last year. And see, like the time goes on, the probably hopefully those um descendants will, or our grandchildren, and after that the next generations will have the beautiful peaceful world. And that's why we're really working right now. And the clue is to know that the earth is going through the cycles, just like how spring, winter, spring, summer, fall. It's the cycle of the earth. That's the cycle of the universe, I think. And I noticed that in our consciousness, we have layers, some layers, a couple of layers. Even though I'm meditating, and my mind is here meditating, but at the same time, another consciousness of mine is speaking right here. So I realize that there are some layers of my consciousness. And we are trying the best to be good people, not judging others, and to accept and to forgive anything that happens to anyone, that because we know that everybody is different. No single or two rocks are exactly the same in this whole entire world. No single persons, I mean, even twins are exactly the same on this earth. All plants are different, trees are different, animals are different. That means everything is different, and they exist, and we are all part of this world. So we're learning right now to accept myself, to forgive myself, to educate myself to become a better person, better spirit, as at the same time enjoying this life, physical life, enjoying being with people, enjoying having my family, enjoying sharing things. So everybody has the different world and way of thinking and doing things, but nevertheless, we're together. We're creating the peaceful world together. And this is why I would like to focus on the our Mother Earth and water, because I know that's the clue of making ourselves peaceful beings, and as well as the whole world, earth, and the universe. So that's something that I would like to share.
That's
Thank
the
you.
most
So
beautiful.
beautiful, Michiko. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
just want to say real quick, the picture I got, or the message today when we were talking to Mother, it was like exactly what you're saying. Because she said there's an ebb and a flow. She said there's an ebb and a flow, and you gotta just get in. It's gonna come and it's gonna go, and you gotta just get in with the flow and
Right, right.
follow it. So it's just right in alignment. It's beautiful, Michiko. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, can we go on to because we've been doing all the spiritual things here, we can still bring in the science. And I think the science is important because if we don't bring in the science, we won't be able to, we won't be able to even live, you know. So I was thinking, you know, Libby, and I really hope that we can address some of the accomplishments we've had already.
Yeah,
And
we talked about doing that maybe in the early part of our meetings, have an update with Libby. So I think that'd be great if that
and
sounds good.
you know, address, because we had been talking in terms of this medicine whale on how it turned into 8 points, and then all of a sudden this you know, this light that it actually came into the water and so on. A lot of this isn't explained, and I think you know, where we can do this in terms of the what's been talked about as the tree of life, because you know, we know all the horizontal things and we can point those things out in the world of science, but now we're actually bringing the spiritual or the vertical into fact, in which we hadn't done for a long time. I mean, thousands of years, I guess we'd call it, you know. But seeing as we're entering this age of Aquarius, we have to know, and we have to know these sciences, that they are very real, and we can bring the crystal into this highest level. And I think that's where I think Dr. Emoto would appreciate as we go on here.
Beautiful. Libby, do you have an update for us?
Um, I don't have any new data since the last meeting. I have not done a measurement since then. Probably tomorrow or Sunday, probably Sunday, I'll measure again. Um, so that was nothing new, but um, perhaps, let's see, should be able to share. I just, oops. Um, kind of, this is the graph that I show most is the negative emotions in the water that's been measured. Um, and we see, you know, these emotions going into peaks and going down and kind of going together. Um, so it shows that they're going in the same direction. Um, uh, Someone asked a question last time about why about the negative emotions being categorized as negative and the positive ones as positive. And that's not to be a judgmental category. It's really just meant for my my own and our ease of understanding, so that we can look at all the data but separate it into different categories, because it's too many data points to look at. If I plotted the negative emotions along with the positive emotions in the same graph, it would look 10 times worse. So it's more just for an ease of categorizing things and not as a judgment of good and bad, because I recognize that these quote negative emotions, these are good things for us. It's important for us to have all these emotions as well, including hatred. We, you know, they serve us. They can serve us. They can serve us well. It depends on how we use them, but it's not meant that they're negative, and I don't really have anything to say that all the negative emotions should go away in the lake. As Jeff pointed out in the last meeting, that he sees a pattern of cycles of emotions coming and going, and that was interesting to note, because it's not assuming that all the negative emotions have to go away. So there's just that one point. This was a zoom in of the above graph to see that things run together. And so another thing that I might add and consider is, since let's say for the negative emotions, they seem to be running in the same directions generally, I might make another kind of super emotion, or a override, a category that encompasses all of these emotions into one code or thing that I can measure, so that instead of having to measure 15 different things, potentially I could measure one, and that would track all the emotions in one bag. Now, I would have to measure all those together for a long time to see that they're truly tracking together. But it would be kind of nice to be able to just measure one thing that would encompass all of the emotions. That's removing things another layer from the actual data, but it might be something that would be helpful. What was another thought I had? Uh, oh yeah, it is a question for me, and so maybe, people can think about this, because I'm open to ideas of what people think is going on and why it's happening, but that these emotions seem to all track together. Why? Like I said, negative emotions are not always negative, you know, uh, so why are these ones that I picked out and listed track together, and the positive emotions mostly track together too?
I
Why?
think could it be because of the frequencies of those emotions, or what if you call them negative? Those their frequencies probably are more in the same category, or in the same, a similar group, and the positive emotions can be in the frequencies of the positive emotions can be a little, in the different from completely different from negative emotions.
Yeah. Um, uh, I lost my thought again.
I'm
Uh,
sorry.
no, I had it as you were talking, and it's like, oh yeah, something else, but I don't remember what it was. So,
Well, the one thing, just maybe while you're, hopefully it comes back, but to me, it's like we talked about this last time, but that there's even though they're negative emotions in the movement, but they're going together, like you said, and it's order. Where here before it was chaos. So even though they're negative, and that's so powerful, Libby, I just want to say thank you for bringing that up, our judgment about emotions, and kind of coming to this place where we can listen and be neutral. And so I kind of feel like it would be kind of cool to try to develop that one emotional measurement, because you could measure that more often, because it probably takes so much time to measure every single emotion,
right,
and thank you so much for that.
yeah. And so, kind of some of my thoughts are, say, well, in these quote negative emotions, there's greed and there's pain, and there's frustration. Is, is it that all of these things run together? It's just a question. I don't know that there is an answer other than observing what data we get.
Uh,
But
What's so fascinating to me, because at the beginning of the graph, they're not going, I mean, they kind of, some of them are together, but it's
yeah,
not till after we started doing the work that they're more, which is so fascinating.
in the beginning of this graph, it looks less, say, coherent, if you want to call it that. But I also noticed that there were times when they were going down. Looks like a bunch of them, most of them are going down here from the first point to day 4. And then a lot of them are going down again here from about day, 11 to day, I don't know, 17. And actually, this at just the day before zero here, Russ put some structured water into the lake.
Mhm.
And he did it again, I think about this point around day 10.
Mhm.
So the effect didn't seem to be as big as noticeable as these other peaks and valleys, but it looks like to me something was there too. So
Yeah, so we need to do kind of a timeline of these of incidents. You clearly have kept track of that, like when Russ put the structured water in, and
right.
Yeah, because my truck broke down and so on and everything. I wasn't able to go there. It's 100 miles away, so I did it. But actually, um, 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 we actually worked through the prayer thing, and of course, we were able to use that so that we could bring in more positive energy as well. So. Um, I like the fact that we're positive about the negative, because that's the only way we can survive. Because, this is what we're here on Earth to do. But the thing is there another gauge here? Can we go to the positive and see what this same thing shows? Is that a possibility? Okay.
And another question is, what will a healthy lake look like in measuring these things? And I have no idea, but um, maybe that's what we'll find out.
Yeah.
But so yeah, positive emotions here. I haven't connected these dots yet. It's more challenging to measure the positive emotions because the range is so big. So here is all the data here. These go off the charts. Um,
Which one was that? Is that that's a
Love. I
love?
think it's
yeah,
love.
love,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
life force energy isn't even on the
This.
chart.
Wow.
And yeah, love is the next biggest one. And
Mm-hmm.
um, harmony, let's see. Oops. Harmony. Oh, here's harmony. It's on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yellow one. Gratitude
and
went up.
hope and freedom. Was this freedom?
Oh, that's freedom. Yeah. That's
Let's see.
freedom.
That one was okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't tell so much right now. So
Okay.
it's difficult. This is the life force energy, and it's measured in the number of digits because, and even then, this is to give you an idea, this is like 10 to the 12th digits. So 10 to the 12 is like a trillion. So this measurement has a trillion digits. That means if you put a one and a trillion zeros after it, that's what the number is. So it's not even on the same scale as these other ones.
So
Wow.
this was unusual in a sense that was if you did it somewhere else, because of this, our prayers and the structured water are capable of working together. Are you saying that? Is that a possibility?
That's certainly possible, I think, but that's not what I'm
Um,
saying.
Chrissy
Yeah.
would like to say something.
see,
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. I think we started to hear from Sophia, and so my clarifying question was, uh, did does she, Sophia, do you live near there? You were starting to report on what you were seeing, and so I just want to find out more about the boots on the ground in the area,
Mm.
if that's possible.
Sophia, are you there?
Okay, sorry.
Sophia, oh, there you are. Okay, yeah, good.
Okay, can you repeat again the question? Sorry about that. You can hear.
I'm still new, and so I'm not sure how everybody's connected. But last time when we met, you were starting to say that you had noticed changes, and so I just jumped to the conclusion that you live near Clear Lake. So I was just asking some clarifying questions.
Yeah,
Be wonderful, Sophia, to have your energetic update tonight.
yeah.
It's wonderful. Yes.
This week I feeling the last I don't know how many days, but last 3 days I feeling like energy, like anxiety, again fear, and like um like anger for last 3 days. But the days before I feeling like something good, like a good energy, like something good is happening. I don't, that's what I feel.
Wow, cool, wonderful. And I
And
feel, Sophia, I think you're really tapping into collective energies. And it's so powerful to kind of have that reflection of the work we're doing, the presence, the energy, our intention is working with the waters of the earth. It's healing the whole collective consciousness. And so I've been feeling that a lot in the collective, this almost like an impending doom feeling. And that is, it's interesting because worked with homeopathy today, and that signature came up in the remedy. And I think it's really cool, just as a side note in future, like in the work we're doing, I'd love to at some point when it's appropriate, talk more about homeopathic philosophy and look at using homeopathy for the waters of the earth and through intention with our other stuff. But so I feel like maybe Varushka might have something to say on this.
Not so much today. I feel like this week leading up to the eclipse has been about really connecting to Gaia and really, I'm preaching to the choir here, really surrendering to Mother and really like receiving her grace. So, and like Michiko was saying, like it's very direct. There's like nothing to figure out right now, but just like that surrender and also choosing free will of devotion to be of service to the creator, have the creator use me. So that's my intel.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I love that because it's almost like this juxtaposition. Because what came through in the events this week that I did was this connection to a pre-planetary evolution where there was destruction. And it's like that whole overlay is still affecting us. And because of the events of the world and people's or we don't know what's happening, it's uncertain, but we're just having a bloom of this, waiting for the next, of course, there's so much fear, trying to get us worried about the next thing that's going to happen to Mother Earth or to, that's the destruction. And we really have to, we're being called to defrag that program and of catastrophe associated with our loving mother from a pre-planetary evolution. And so it's so cool that you bring that in, Varushka, because that's that other energy of like, because it's like the grief of that's unresolved is in the consciousness. They're sister souls, Earth and this previous planet. And so that is that was a seed of Earth, and that energy of waiting for that is just like in the consciousness clearing out. And underneath that is that beautiful, innocent, welcoming home, feeling loved and held and cared for by our mother, who is our conscious mother, our literal mother, when we live on a planet, and now we know our bodies are her body. And so we're working with the bodies of the earth by just being present and aware. So powerful. Thank you, Vershka.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about fun band names and asking the universe just for fun. And then I heard We Stopped the War. And I was like, oh, and I was cracking up like, yeah, we stopped the war. And that's what it is. If we just stop participating because we surrender to Mother, that's laying the new blueprint. Like Lennon and Yoko, war is over. Like it takes decades to really understand what they were meaning.
You notice everybody's bowing like this? Yep, you're absolutely right. I think we did. We did stop the war, and we're still, it's still stopped, but we don't believe it. It's an illusion. We think, that's not true, and so on. So I love that. It's just so important, you know. Well, I noticed
Hi,
Lauren
Russ.
did it. Lauren, hi, Lauren. I mean, thanks for participating. We're so happy that you're there, and I
It took a while to just be able to get online.
yeah, I know you have a rough time with getting online because
So
you're
great to have you with us, Lauren.
Hi. Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
Would this be a good time to hear from Lauren? Do you want to introduce him, Ross?
yeah, Lauren's been I guess a friend of mine, and for a while because I knew another person who was named Lauren, who was a good person who was having some health problems, and I was working in terms of detoxing people through let's just say volcanic ash and so on like that, and I was very concerned in what was going on, and it ended up that I ended up talking to Lauren, and Lauren was telling me I was talking about Emoto, and he says, "Yeah, I knew Emoto. We worked together and so on." And I was quite amazed at that, and I didn't know how true it was, but as time went along, and just recently, we've had meetings with him with Clayton, and it was quite an interesting situations that we were getting into that, we were building off the sciences that we wanted to pursue. And one of them was Brown's gas. And so I was amazed that both Lauren and Clayton both, knew about this and how it worked in the world of science. And what we've been working for and working with is developing intent of what it was we needed to recognize to bring in with what we're calling the blue flame. And it was like so important for us to measure that. And it's so important because it's the balance between masculine and feminine. And feminine has got the wrong treatment and so on for a long time because of the masculine. We knew that, so how is it we could bring this blue flame, this equality between masculine and feminine? And that's what Brown's gas was to us. And I was filled with joy in the sense that this could happen. And then,
Rhodes gas.
yeah, right, right.
Prior to Yul Brown, the real discoverer.
Yeah. So was this true? And so what I knew, and I think what we talked about, and I'm glad we did because it was really important. There were other meetings that Lauren had to go to, and then I had a family situations going on, and it was just too hard. 007 just, got to me, And so eventually, I got where Clayton and I and Lauren, and we'd get together and talk about this possibility of bringing this blue flame to fruition. And it wasn't really until lately, when we were doing all sorts of things, and that, Lauren just called me yesterday, and I don't know, we were just thinking about it and thinking about him, and he just calls me. He says, I'm looking over your shoulder or something. What did you say? You said something. He said, I'm checking in on you, and so I said, we were just talking about you. And I thought that was a blessing, because I knew, we were eventually going to get introduced again and so on. And of course, Michiko, is just learning about what you meant to Dr. Emoto. So we're all healing right now, and it's been a wonderful sensation. And I really still think that we can do the blue flame, that we can make equality between masculine and feminine, between hydrogen and oxygen. It's just in the cards. It's going to happen with this group. I'm sorry, everybody. It's been a lot of work. And I know that Clayton knows that, and I know that we're going to have, and even Christopher, who's here today, we're all sitting there working as scientists and so on, but we know that we have to put it in a spiritual manner, and there's no doubt about that, So thank you, Lauren, for coming on, and I'm just, and I think we have an apology to make, because it's taken so many years for us to come together on these facts. We can't continue on without working with each other and so on. And so that's our next steps. And I know Mitchell knows this, and I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to greet Lauren, and wanted to say thank you so much for helping Dr. Emoto at the beginning, when he started to work with water and started to do the research on water. I did not. I'm so sorry, because at that time I was not his personal assistant. I started working for him in 2004, in March of 2004. So, but I did read in several books of his. He always mentioned about Dr. Lee Lorenzen, and I met him in person at Jerry Pollack's water conference in 2018 or 19.
Yeah, I missed that one.
You were there also?
No.
Okay.
I missed that one.
I talked with him at that time, and that was my first time to meet him, and then I also read that he really appreciated Lauren and Rod, and I didn't know who they were, and he mentioned that those were the researchers that Lee Lorenzen had introduced Dr. Emoto, so that he can learn more about water. So, and now all these dots are connected, that now I'm so pleased and so honored to meet you here in person. I mean, on this Zoom. Thank you very much. He always mentioned and appreciated you and Rod and Dr. Lee Lorenzen as well. So please know that.
Thank you for being here, Lauren. Tell us what that was like, or anything you want to share with us.
Please do.
I immediately, well, actually, when I first met, what happened was I'd been training Rod Quinn. He worked in the same building as myself on a different floor, and we managed to bump noses and stuff. And and he was in marketing, and I was in technology or technologies, and the and arts, and the so I he was fascinated with this stuff, these experiments that I was doing, and not just with water, and formulating and stuff like that. And they're doing some amazing things, like mind-boggling for on most part. And at any rate, I mean, it was surprising me too,
Mhm.
At any rate, uh, and then so I had put together a project uh, for him because he wanted some practical experience with all this philosophical stuff that I'm talking about, very metaphysical
Mhm.
and very quantum mechanics, and
Wow.
and I mean, it's a broad spectrum of things,
Mhm.
right? And because I work with Mother, and at any rate, uh, so I can't take all the credit here. I work with Mother, and at any rate, uh, so uh, I laid out this project for him. It was step by step
Mhm.
uh, research and and validation
Mhm.
of a particular principle and aspect of of the water of
Mhm.
structured and imprinted water technology, right? And and I was seeing some pretty wild things going on, and it was kind of like, and with a couple of formulas that that for healing purposes,
Mhm. Right.
like like skin diseases and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that, right in front of your eyes,
Mhm. Mhm.
type of a thing,
Wow.
not down the road. And so at any rate, so I sent him off on a project, and he just disappeared. I didn't see him for a couple of years, 2 to 4 years or something like that, and I
Well,
forgot all about him. And then
so
he shows up out of nowhere, and he says, "I got these people. You got these people here, Lee Lorenzen and a fellow by the name of Moto, his partner from
mhm.
Japan,
Mhm.
and I can't close the deal. Could you come in and explain this stuff to him?" And what are you talking about?
Okay. Okay. So what happened?
That's how it all started. You know
Okay,
what I
I
mean?
see. Okay. Thank you.
Wow.
What
But
happened
he
was,
did a great job. Emoto did a great job, and
thank you.
my hat's off to him.
Yeah,
Uh,
what I can share with you was that the very first time, I think he was very introduced to, well, I don't know how it happened exactly, but he went to California after having met Dr. Lee Lorenzen, who was using MRA, magnetic
yeah,
resonance and analyzer. So they were playing golf together in California. And at that time, Emoto was not really good at playing golf. And so, because
right. I
after
remember
walking
that.
so
Yeah.
much, yeah, after walking so much, he had the pain on his leg. So he
Ah,
couldn't really walk anymore. Then I think it was Dr. Lee Lorenzen or someone in that group said that, well, you have a pain, then why don't you just spray this water? So he said,
oh
okay,
yeah,
he sprayed
that's right.
it. And then
That's stuff I supplied
immediately,
to. Yeah,
he
Rod did.
sprayed, as soon as he sprayed that water, his pain was gone immediately. And that
Yeah,
was the moment he said, wow, what's this? Just water can heal and
yeah.
all the pain can go away. And so he started to, so he asked why that happened. And I think Dr. Lee Lorenzen explained about that machine and water that was a microcluster water. Was that the water that you invented?
Yes.
Okay, so this is why he really always mentioned how much he appreciated, because he was always using that microcluster water um, to heal, to imprint information, vibration to
That's
frequency
right.
to the water, to this water, to
Yeah.
give to his own client, each individual client. And all, I mean, it was amazing because he treated, or he helped more than 10,000 people with that technology and water and machine. And that's how he started to discover further about vibration, the frequency and
Yeah.
emotion, the relationship between what the physical body and emotion, and how emotions affect our physical body and our surroundings as well. And also that he discovered that water is not the same as other waters. They are all different.
Right.
It has memory and can help, can work as a medicine. It's not like a medicine, but still like homeopathy
And it has
or medicine.
it has a consciousness of its own.
Exactly. Yeah. So
And we-
that's
So that
how
water was more
everything's.
imprintable, Lauren, or Mr.
Yeah.
Cook? Okay.
Lauren knows.
It works on several different levels. Okay, on the molecular level, for instance, is like H2O. You know, and water is it's like a big oxygen and out there two hydrogens are okay in that relationship, and it swings depending on the amount of energy involved in the situation with that particular molecule. And you can use these molecules either all by themselves, or the oxygens separate from the hydrogens, or the hydrogen and the oxygen together collectively is called a hydroxyl. And you got this basically talking about an erector set, and you can construct this erector set to mimic something that you desirable, like vitamin C, for instance, right? And then you get these clusters to come together in clusters and lenticular bonds and stuff like that, director set, right? That models the electrochemical and in it can trigger a particular type of a response. Okay, it's like a catalyst. It can trigger or amplify a response in something. And in most cases, since we're dealing with working with biologics, it's going to influence a biological system, and on any all the way down
Fields,
to
huh?
an
Create
atomic
a
level.
field.
Hmm?
Create a field.
Yeah, and
Okay.
a magnetic field, an electric field, actually a spatial field. I mean, it's like a bubble that expands out to points approximating infinity, collapses down to points approximating zero, never arrives at either, because if it did, it would no longer exist. And,
Lauren, is
and
this
there would be no memory of it either.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
is this where intent?
Now we understand what's going on.
Okay, so I this past Monday, there was a professor from Stockholm University in Sweden visited us. His name is Dr. Anders Nilsson, and he's been studying water for over 30 years. And this past like more than 10 years, he's been really studying it. And he wanted to everyone he meets would ask him about crystals. So that's why he
Yeah.
wanted to come and visit our office and talk to us and see the laboratory. So we spent about 2 hours, and he was very interesting because he's an experimental testing person, and he doesn't say this in public because he's a scientist, but one day he was at the lake swimming. Then it was a cloudy day, and then he said the sky opened. There was a blue sky, and then he heard the voice saying that he needs to be sharing the spirituality or consciousness of water or something. So that was when he became very, very spiritual about his life and water. And now he knows that water has the consciousness. But he said, it was very interesting. He said, science cannot prove things. Science can only explain why it is happening. They can be, by doing the experiments. And said, sadly, science is not ready to prove things yet, he said. So we asked if he would be helping us to do this further research on water, because we really want to do, we don't know, because we're not scientists. So we need a real scientist to help us and give us advice and work together. And he said he was happy to do it. So he said, when we take, before and after we take the water crystals, he recommended that we take the value of electrical conductivity, and that was one thing he said, he recommended. Also, interestingly, he's using laser light and to see how light scatters. And that's another thing he recommended, to see the dynamic of light scattering. And before taking the water crystals and after the crystals, so we will see how the difference between these values. So that was this week, and I think Hito and I were very happy about that, and we're going to start working with him as well, so that we will know more about water and how the formation of water, why it happens, and also because water is a very unique liquid, and it's totally different from other liquids. And when the temperature drops, that's when the water, we can see the uniqueness of water. He said that when the temperature is very high, it acts like all other liquids. But when the temperature is really low, that's when water is very, very unique. So along with the spirituality, I just want to, we showed the data from that collective prayer that we sent to the water in 2022. We had the water during that water conference. During the World Water Festival, we had 100 people at the venue, and we had 500 people online. So together with those 500 people joining online from around the world, and 100 people from the venue there, we sent the prayer to the water. And the specialist of a water cleansing company was there and did the experiment and testing before the prayer and after the prayer. And then COD, that's a chemical oxygen demand, the value dropped from 15 to 7. And the value 15 means that water was so polluted and the fish could not even stay alive. But just by sending the prayer collectively, the value of COD dropped to 7. And he said he was really amazed because it never happened in the past more than 10 years while of his life working with water. And the value 7 means water is not polluted anymore, and fish can stay alive. It can live in that water. And we did really nothing physically, chemically, just by praying to water. So we showed that data to Dr. Nelson and said, this is what we have, and how can we explain why this happened. It has to have our consciousness and the water consciousness, or something happened. And then because he's a scientist, he said, I want probably ions in the water went somewhere. That's why the number value of COD dropped. But where
Some
did
of
it
them,
go?
some of those, chemically speaking, you're talking about, for instance, you have water with pollutants in it, okay? And it's in a liquid phase, and and that can drop out from a solid phase. But there's a transition between solid and liquid phase,
Right.
okay? And that's on the lower end of things. That's predominantly where the H2O molecules entrain, forming hydroxyls. Hydrogen oxygen, right? Connection, and just one oxygen, one hydrogen, right? And they'll make a little chain, and they'll
Right.
build up, and they become the longer the chain, and the stronger the amount of energy involved there, the more of those molecules lining up like that can make a difference in terms of how much energy is involved, right? Yeah. In other words, the quantity of energy in essence, right? It's a
Wow.
simple
Yeah.
formula. It's a simple little law that most people don't know about, and it's an equation, right? And
That's so powerful.
It's powerful. Yeah.
yeah. So
Is
at
that
any
the,
rate,
so do you think that's connected to structure? I don't want to distract you from your
well,
thought.
No,
it
no, no.
involves
Go ahead.
structure, and can also involve imprinting. Like, if you're
Imprint.
trying to construct one of the first experiments I ever did. This is before oh no, that's actually during the time. It was about the same time that I first met Emoto. All right, Emoto-san, and any rate, I took ascorbic acid. That's vitamin C, one form of vitamin C. Okay, ascorbic acid. And you get it from an extraction process, or you can actually synthesize it. And at any rate, I took values of different amounts of ascorbic acid, like 3 milligrams, 30 milligrams, 300 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams, or in other words, 1 gram, and 1,500 milligrams, 3,000 milligrams, 15,000 milligrams. In other words, 15 grams of that. And I took that model, using that as a total model, all right? So much of it, how many, per milliliter of water. Okay, just as a standard, and the in essence, it's a little bit more explanatory than that, but in essence, that's what we're talking about. And and then imprinted that fabric. That's photons moving around. That's resonance. Mechanical resonance going on a molecular level, atomic level, and all the way out to that volume level, right?
Right.
And and the electromagnetic fields and stuff like that. This is it's all in resonance, and we're taking that because it's working, and we take that model, that cookie cutter, if you will, and imprint that with water into ultra pure water. And when I say ultra pure, I mean talking about. It's so pure, it's caustic. It'll etch glass,
Wow.
right? Yeah. So you have to use other things than that.
Yeah.
But at any rate, and imprint that in there, and then take samples of that and keep that in little vials, that where there's no air. It's all a vacuum in the body of 5 milliliters or 1 milliliter, 2 milliliters, 5 milliliters to work with, right? And we were doing challenge tests, and we are getting the exact equivalent biologically in biological systems as if they were the exact amount. 1 milliliter was the exact amount of the concentration, even though there was only one to two or three molecules in that whole volume
Mhm.
of ascorbic acid. Sometimes none. And the no ascorbic acid, just the imprint. Everything's organizing itself to mimic it. That amount and that strength, right? And it was showing up in the challenge tests, and people going, do 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 do, right? This is water, right? And so interesting, and so it's what I'm saying here. And in order for that to occur, you can unwittingly think that this is just you causing this, right? And you're so good, you know the chemistry involved, you know the physics involved, and so on and so forth, and you know the biological systems involved, and you missed the whole point.
Yes.
It's like, how did this come about?
Mm.
Who or what is involved here?
Right.
It's God, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know it
and
has.
then
Absolutely proved.
you start getting acquainted with it. You're using this as a kind of like a calling card, all right?
Mm.
You're using it as kind of like a calling card. It's like, who am I who or what am I in contact with? And you start getting acquainted because you've got the fabric to work with physically here, right? And right in front of you, you're playing with it, and uh, and then it grows from there. It says, what I'm saying? So you got creator involved, you've got mother involved. I mean, and Mother Earth and stuff. And by the way, that's not a figure of speech.
No.
It's There's a being there, a very magnificent being, and the interfacing with Mother Nature, 100% of the time. But at any rate,
Lauren in Michiko, can I just dig in here a little bit more because I want to just say how important this day is because you're here. I mean, you're going to put me in tears if you say anything more, but I'm sort of kidding you, but I think it's really, really important that we all got together finally again.
This is really important.
I want to just adjust because I think I was mentioning Ward Williams, who was really close to Dr. Hill Brown, many years ago and so on. And we were talking in terms of what you just said, with the vacuum, the ability to basically create a vacuum and an implosion, and how to neutralize. Remember when we were talking with Clayton, and so on, we were talking in terms of what to do with the Brown's gas and how to adjust it to a state where it can implode, and
Brown's gas can be structured and imprinted,
right.
and it's incredibly powerful when you do that because you can do transmutation with it.
Yes. We were almost there, in the sense that we were talking in terms of needing, these kind of people that were around you so that we can basically find that one point. And I think if Clayton got in, we could, talk one more time again, just for an example. Because
There.
you were saying we should lower the amount of oxygen, or was it hydrogen? And I think that's the time when we were kind of taken away and where we're busy with other people and so on. And I really cherish this time that you're here. And if we put it in the right personality, if we put it in the right phase, we could actually do what Ward Williams was teaching, or what Emoto was, not Emoto, but what Hugh Brown was teaching his students, before he passed away. And so I think if we could just spend a little time in, because oftentimes we have the wrong people that don't understand, or they want to grandstand and so on. And I know that's not where you're at. And I thought maybe we could have a couple sessions in terms of, using the implosion rather than just the example of what hydrogen and oxygen can do
Right.
and so on. And I think you know that. And so I would just cherish the moment that we could just pull this together and create a blue flame where we could literally bring the equality between masculine and feminine. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't know it myself, but I can feel it. I feel that that's what we're here for, and I feel that this is a very special day, and in terms of love and personality and forgiveness and all of this stuff. It's so happy that you're here, and we could just grow a little more and bring the team that we had together 2 years ago when we were working with a student of Dr. Hugh Brown, Ward Williams. I don't know if you remembered that, but I think we're going to be able to bring this together, and I'm so happy. I don't know what else to say, but I'm just so happy that you guys got together.
It's so beautiful to be here, Ross, and have you with us, Lauren, and hear from Michiko these amazing stories. And I think that what Lauren just said about this, what I've seen as the power, the potential, that what Brown's gas really shows us is this power of dematerialization, of connecting to that mother energy, which is the raw materials of all form, that can be dematerialized and rematerialized as we need it, to support in whatever might need to happen. And it's just this quintessential beautiful place of connecting into that intimacy. So Lauren, thank you so much for blessing us. And we're coming to the close of our time today, but wouldn't it be beautiful to come together with Lauren and Clayton and everyone and do some deeper discussion on these things? It's because I have so many questions about how the structured water fits into it. And so Clayton, thank you for being here. We haven't heard from you tonight, but if you're there, we'd love to hear from you. And I know there's so many wonderful souls here tonight. So if there's anybody called to share, or Ross, anything else you want to cover before we close tonight?
Well, I could sing a song if you want, I mean, I keep trying to
Yeah.
sing the same song and I never get to do that, because it parallels what we were doing, and I never really studied it again. So, if you want me to sing the first verse, and I would just, because the science is really important, it really is. But where do our children play? And I know Lauren understands that. He knows the spiritual aspect has to be done for the next generations and so on. You want me to sing that song?
Beautiful. Well, hold on. Ross, Shirley raised her hand. Hi, Shirley. Thank you so much for being with us here
Oh,
tonight.
well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just been a wonderful meeting. And, the energies, as usual, are just awesome. And, the frequencies that we're emanating out is helping the mother, and clearly. But then I also wanted to just mention that I do have now installed a structured water device of Clayton's in my home.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful. Yeah, I am. And I really, I noticed on his website that he said it's otherworldly technology. So it's just wonderful how Source works with different ones here to come up with these beautiful things for us. And I just wish everybody knew about them. But so I feel really very grateful and happy for that. And anyway, I just
That's
wanted to say
exciting.
yes.
You'll have to let us know what you notice.
I will. I will. I would say I've already noticed that, connections are faster, you know. Yeah. So I feel good. So I'm still just kind of working with it. And it's just still kind of matriculating, I think, through my body, because I think, as it's absorbed into the cells more completely, I think it's like the fountain of youth. So anyway, thank
Thank
you,
you,
everybody.
Clayton.
Thank you.
It is the
Wonderful.
fountain of
Clayton.
youth.
It is, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So thank you all. Thank you.
Well,
Clayton and everyone, real quick, I wanted to say before we close to apologize for our last meeting. For those of you who were here, I got kind of feisty and I've gotten a little overprotective of the beautiful space that Russ wants to create. And we've had a lot of detractors. And I just wanted to apologize to Clayton and to Tammy and to Doug, who I shut down in an effort to try to keep a sacred space. And thank you so much for understanding in my personal issue. I just want to bring that forward, my apology. And Clayton, thank you so much for all you bring. And I'm so sorry that that misunderstanding happened. But Clayton, are you there? You want to talk to us a little bit about this
I
structure?
just want to say, it is what it is. When we went into that meeting, the heartbeat of the Earth was at a point of 10.9. When we did that meeting, even with a limited number of people who really were present, it dropped it to 10.5. And this moon eclipse dropped it down to 10.2. So we're on a roll. I mean, I'm on a roll. The Earth is on a roll. It's just the heartbeat of the Earth. And whether you believe it or not, it is the actual term for it is Schumann frequency.
Not quite.
Okay, go for
Okay.
You're going to challenge me?
There's a natural
Challenge me.
there's a natural resonance that takes place at around 7.8 to 655 hertz, and that's the biological resonance of the planet. All right, and the bioresonance, and and that and that goes in phase with the sun and the moon, for instance. Uh, at any rate, the there, so at the say around plus or minus 8 minutes, the time of sunset, for instance, and a little bit longer at time of sunrise, you know, or where you're just turning from day to night and night to day, for instance, that little transition period. Well, there's a little. It swings around the planet and it goes when it passes you, it goes bleep, and things just like it's a phase change. In other words, you're shifting from day to night, and when that occurs, I mean, you can tell it because the birds will start chirping, for instance,
Yeah.
and uh, and then and then the and the and that puts the trees to kind of to sleep and stuff like it lets them know to go to sleep, right? And then in the morning, the opposite happens, and it wakes everything up, and it's kind of neat. Well, that's one cycle, and the and that's dealing with that's a magnetic field that's like
Oh, let me
uh,
ask you this.
yeah.
Why is true north? Why is the aurora borealis showing up in Florida?
Oh, that's another matter. And yeah, the field of the magnetic field of the planet is collapsing as it goes through a reversal, and we're in that reversal taking place where the magnetic field goes down, collapses down to zero. If that happens, that's a protective barrier around the planet, and so you get ions coming in from the sun from a
I know what it is. I
and
understand.
it comes in and it just blasts away and generates a very strong interference pattern.
So how are you going to affect a change?
Oh, well, if we introduce something that quiets down the environment, it's like
Yes. And
yeah,
couldn't that be the heartbeat of the earth?
and we do it in conjunction with that. Now, there's a Schumann resonance that's going on simultaneous.
That is the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat
No,
of
it's not. No, it's not Schumann resonance. The closest Schumann resonance is 8.1 hertz,
yeah, it would be if it were normal.
and that's the normal Schumann resonance. When the biological resonance uh, is going on, uh, you can see you can differentiate different if you know what you're looking at. You can differentiate between the biological resonance taking place, and the Schumann resonance, which is the cavity between the ionosphere and the ground, and the energy comes in like in microwave, X-ray, gamma radiation stuff comes in, gets caught up into this little cavity, bouncing between the ionosphere and ground, back and forth until it lowers in frequency, and it goes all the way down. They're about seven 7 to 10 Schumann resonances. The largest lobe is at 8 hertz. There is a fellow number of years back, several decades back, he died, but uh, Bob Beck, and he was supposed to be this super duper scientist and stuff like that. He was an agent for the CIA disinformation, in my opinion. And I had a secret hatred of people, humans. And I mean, that was pretty obvious. I mean, so I'm not getting hysterical about this or anything like that. It's like, oh, but one of the things he did is he said that the biological resonance was the Schumann resonance, and it's not. Technically speaking, it's not. They're close. The major lobe, which is 8 to 1 hertz, is very close to 7.826 hertz, right? And anyway,
Libby can tell us that, we'll be able.
but there's other ones that hit at around 10 hertz, 14 hertz. It goes all the way up to about 30, 40 hertz. Well, and they are all Schumann resonances.
Wow.
Because that's electromagnetic. That's not biological heartbeat. The biomagnetic field of the planet going plump, 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 plump. You got the idea? It's kind of like saying that the mind is what controls existence, not the heart.
Yeah. Now I'm going to look at this video
That's
over and over
yeah.
times, and I don't know about you guys, but that's
Maybe we'll understand someday.
yeah, right.
So at any rate, if you realize you can work with it, once you understand it, you can work with it. So you can say, oh, we can monitor what the major Schumann resonance and what the harmonics are, and include that in the equation for orientation. And we're doing molecular building, like with water, for instance. Okay, and the biological resonance is running the whole show, and there's specific frequencies involved there, in both electromagnetically, or excuse me, biologically and and biomagnetically to orient the whole thing. And that's, I tell you, that's very effective. It's very effective.
Is the biological mother?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's very important for us to realize. And you know, there's like a division between mother and father, and the only way to bring that together is through the children. And
yeah. Good
that's
point.
yeah, you and so these whole things are, you know, in our hearts, and I see that, and you know, all the things that you guys are bringing together has to be brought together through the heart, and of course that's what you're speaking of, and it's how structured water works as well. And so our job is to just understand and implement the structured water to bring up the child and to bring the child to flourishing. And the
Hey,
child is
Ross,
not that.
everyone.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't want to stop this, but can
but
we
it's at
get
the
back
end.
together next time to continue to talk about this? Because
Yes, we
I
do.
would love to hear more from you all, from Lauren, from Clayton, from you, Ross. But I really have to get going soon, so
Yeah.
please forgive
Yes,
me.
let's thank you so much, Michiko, and it would be wonderful to honor
Maybe
everybody's
that
time,
the
but it feels
background
like we're
music
just getting into it. So Lauren, can you come back and talk to us, and Clayton, it just
Yes.
Sure.
and have this discussion, everyone who's here and holding space. It's so beautiful, and it's just beautiful landscape that we're going to here of connecting the dots, like he said. And what an honor. I would love to get together with you again soon, everyone.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
it's fun
Thank you.
we have
Thank you.
fun.
building jumbo planes,
Lauren, thank
Looking
you so much for
forward
being with
to
us. And
seeing.
Clayton,
taking around.
Russ's
Hi,
song.
Lauren.
Thank you, everyone. Love you all. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you,
you.
Have
Lauren,
a
for
good
being
one.
here. I'll see you next time,
Holy
too.
come
Thank you,
along,
Clayton. Thank you,
baby,
Sophia, Sherry,
baby,
Nikesha, and Tara, and
telling you what
Jeannie and Libby. Thank you so much. And Adrienne and Matt, thank you very much again. I love
love you
you
guys.
so much.
Love you
Yeah,
so
this
much.
is
Thank
so
you,
much
Russ, for the
Oh.
fun.
Bye
song.
bye.
Thank
Going
you
to
for being
Hawaii.
here.
No,
Thank
I'm not.
you.
No, I'm not.